The stars above Earth looked peaceful. But peace was an illusion. High above the planet, in a massive black ship that blotted out the sky, the Velkar watched with cold eyes. They were tall, silver-skinned beings with long fingers and glowing blue. Veins. For centuries, they ruled over hundreds of alien species. They looked at Earth, their newest prize. Commander Kale stood at the viewing deck of the Velkar warship. Judgment's reach. His 4 eyes blinked slowly. On the screen, Earth's cities burned. Smoke rose like black fingers reaching to the stars. Primitive species, he said with a sneer. So easy to break. Behind him, a junior officer laughed. They still use bullets and wheels? There? Technology is nothing. Kale nodded. Soon their spirit will be nothing too. Down on Earth, the invasion had begun just 72 hours ago. Velkar dropships landed in major cities. Their soldiers, wrapped in bioarmor, marched through streets. Buildings were torn apart. Satellites crashed. Human governments fell like sandcastles in a storm. The Velkar didn't want Earth for its land. I think they wanted its people. Strong bodies, fast minds, easy to control. Perfect slaves. But not all humans were ready to bow. In the ruins of old Chicago, a man moved through smoke and rubble. His name was Darius Hale, former Earth military, now a fugitive. His face was covered in dust, his uniform torn, but his eyes were sharp. Beside him, a group of survivors followed, men, women, even children. They were hiding in the subway tunnels beneath the city, avoiding the drones that flew above. "We hold here tonight," Darius whispered. "No fires, no noise. We survive." One of the young boys looked up. "Will they find us?" Darius crouched beside him. "They'll try, but we're not done yet." Above ground, a Velkar patrol walked. The streets. They moved slowly, scanning with glowing spears and helmet lights. One of them paused near a broken statue. "I hear something." Hissed. Suddenly silence. A shadow moved behind them. Fast. One Velkar turned too late. Crack. Trap snapped, pulling the alien into a pit filled with metal spikes. The others screamed and opened fire, but no target was in sight. It's just shadows, smoke, and silence. Then, on a broken wall, they saw a message scrawled in red paint. Or was it blood? "You are not gods. We are not cattle." The Velkar retreated. Back in the subway, Darius activated a small metal cube. It glowed faintly then. Spoke in a calm, ancient voice. "Relic system online? Earth Defense Protocol. Standing by." The AI had been hidden long ago by human scientists, an old defense system no one believed would ever be used. But now, it was Earth's last hope. Scan. "The Velkar networks," Darius ordered. "Find a weakness," Relic responded. "Infiltrating. Minimal resistance. Their systems are arrogant. ... Unguarded." Then Darius allowed himself a small smile. "Good. Then we'll teach them fear." In orbit, Commander Kale watched the screen. Human resistance videos were appearing, spreading through their networks like fire. Images of rebel attacks, captured Velkar soldiers, even human children throwing rocks at alien walkers. "This is impossible," Kale growled. "They should be broken." His officer hesitated. "Perhaps we were too quick to judge them." Kale turned slowly. His voice was ice. "They are animals. They will kneel." But he was wrong. In a hidden bunker under what was once Denver, human engineers were building something. Using stolen Velkar tech, they were assembling strange weapons. Plasma guns, EMP bombs, even small attack drones. "These monsters thought we were dumb," said one engineer. "They gave us everything we need to fight." The resistance was growing, not just in the cities, but in forests, deserts, on mountains. Every corner of Earth held a spark. And the Velkar had poured gasoline on all of it. One spark would become a fire. Back in space, Kale gave a final order. "Begin full control. All humans will be tagged. Any resistance, destroyed." He turned back to the screen, confident. But he didn't notice the small red light blinking on a control panel. It was a message from Earth. Just 5 words. Should have run faster. Then the screen went black. Boom. An explosion rocked the Velkar warship in the ruins of Earth. Darius watched the sky light up. He didn't smile. He simply said, "That was just the beginning." The night was cold. The sky over Earth had turned red. Ash rained down like snow as the ruined city of Berlin smoked in silence. Buildings once filled with life now stood like broken bones. The Velkar had taken everything, or so they thought. But deep underground, in an old metro tunnel, firelight flickered on steel walls. A group of humans huddled in silence, eating cold food, checking weapons made from scraps. Among them, Curus Hale stood tall, watching a flickering map drawn on the tunnel wall. Red dots marked Velkar patrols. Blue dots marked human hideouts, small, scattered, but growing. A young woman entered. Her name was Lena Tran, former communications officer turned rebel tech expert. Relic finished scanning their system. She said, "We found something." Darius turned. "What is it?" She tapped a screen. "Velkar, relay tower, north sector. If we take it, we can hijack their local comms. Spread messages to the other cells, we can connect them all." Darius nodded slowly. "It's a start." Above ground, the tower stood tall like a black spear piercing the sky. Velkar guards patrolled lazily. They had no fear of humans. That was their mistake. At midnight, the attack began. A distant explosion drew Velkar soldiers away. Moments later, shadows moved through smoke. Human fighters, silent, fast, precise, used ropes, grappling claws, and homemade EMP darts. One by one, the guards fell. Inside the tower, Lena hacked into the core systems, fingers flying over a glowing Velkar console. RELIC guided her with calm precision. Override successful. Uplink established. All resistance channels now active. All. Across Earth, from the jungles of Brazil to the caves in Siberia, hidden radios came alive. A voice spoke. "This is Captain Darius Hale. Earth lives. You are not alone. Fight back. Strike hard. We are rising." Cheers broke out across bunkers and hideouts. In the mountains of Nepal, a farmer picked up a rifle buried by his grandfather. In the ruins of Tokyo, orphaned children loaded slingshots. With acid-filled eggs, in Africa, entire villages marched with spears and stolen plasma rifles. The embers of rebellion were no longer embers. They were fire. But fire brings attention. Inside the Velkar Dominion Fleet Command. Orbiting Jupiter alarms rang. Commander Kale's image appeared on the screens of all Velkar generals. "These humans are spreading like a disease." It hissed. "This ends now. Deploy Reaper drones to all major zones. Crush them." Within hours, the skies over Earth buzzed with dark machines, drones shaped like flying spiders. They scanned everything. They burned entire forests. Anyone found with weapons was executed on sight. The resistance bled in Paris. A rebel group was wiped out in minutes. In Cairo, drones torched an entire hospital. Even Darius's group lost 12. Fighters in a drone ambush still. It didn't stop because now they had a secret weapon inside a sealed lab under Greenland. Lena worked with Relic on something new. "We've studied their drone AI," she told Darius. "We can infect them, turn them against each other." "How long?" Darius asked. 2 days. They only had one. That night, dozens of Reaper drones closed in on their bunker. Alarms screamed. Fighters grabbed weapons. Children hid. Darius stood tall, gun in hand. "If this is it, we don't run. Show them what it means to fight." The drones descended, weapons charging, but just before the first shot fired, all of them stopped. Then, their eyes turned blue. Relic's voice echoed from the bunker walls. "Protocol complete. Reaper drones, now under human control." Gasps filled the room. People stared at the sky as the drones hovered, silent, awaiting orders. Darius stepped forward. "Send them a message." The drones flew. Across Earth, Velkar patrols were attacked by their own machines. Bases were destroyed. Fear spread through the Dominion ranks. Kale watched it all unfold from orbit. This is madness, he muttered. No, sir, an officer said quietly. This is war. Kale's face twisted in rage. Then we burned them all. Back on Earth, the human rebels stood together in the subway bunker, tired, bloody, alive. Darius looked at the young fighters, the scared parents, the silent children. He raised his voice. They thought we'd bow. But they forgot one thing. We are human, and humans don't kneel. We rise, and when we rise, we burn down empires. The room echoed with cheers outside. The night burned bright. The rebellion had begun. The silence in Velker Space Command was broken by a scream. A live feed played across their main war table. One of their own warships, the Velker Pride, was spinning out of control. Human rebels had taken it. Alarms blared. Fires burned across the ship's engines. Then, in one final move, the humans turned the massive vessel back toward the Velkar station orbiting Saturn. Cut the feed, Commander Kale shouted, but it was too late. Boom. The Velkar Pride slammed into the station at full speed. Blinding flash filled the sky. The station, once the largest Velkar command post in the solar system, was gone in seconds. Earth had spoken. With fire 2 days earlier, the human resistance had pulled off the impossible in the underground ruins of an old military base in South America. Captain Darius Hale stood with a new team of engineers and soldiers. In front of them hovered the massive control panel of the stolen Velkar ship. We're going to hit them where it hurts, he said. Right in their command core. Lena Tran, now their lead tech officer, tapped a screen. Their station over Saturn holds critical fleet data and troop commands. If we take it out, the entire outer system falls into chaos. Darius looked at the team. We're not here to just survive anymore. We're here to win. Relentless's voice echoed from the speakers. Upload complete. Control of the ship is now secure. Weapons armed. Navigation ready. The plan was dangerous. Steal a Velker ship, hide human fighters inside, and pilot it straight into enemy space. A suicide run. Unless they pulled it off perfectly, they did. After the explosion over Saturn, panic spread through the Velkar Empire. Cities that once bowed in fear began to whisper. Humans are fighting back. Humans took a warship. Humans are winning. Earth resistance groups grew stronger. For the first time, other alien slaves began to join the fight. One of them was Tavar, a tall reptilian species from Velkar's mining worlds. He had escaped their chains and sought out Darius. We heard your message, Tavar said. We thought no one could defeat the Velkar, but you did. We want to help. Darius nodded. And fight with us. Together, humans and freed aliens launched attacks across the solar system. They took back Mars in a single night. On Europa, they crashed stolen drones into Velkar fuel depots. In the asteroid belt, they destroyed supply lines with old Earth missiles reprogrammed by Relic. The humans weren't just fighting with weapons. They were fighting with fury, remembered every life lost, every city burned, every child stolen, and the Velkar started to feel fear. Commander Kale sat alone in his quarters, watching replay after replay of rebel attacks. These creatures, they were animals, he whispered. Now, they act like warriors. His assistant entered, pale and shaking. Sir, another base has fallen, this time on Ganymede. The slaves there joined the humans. Kale stood slowly, his voice cold. Prepare the cleansing fleet. Burn everything they touch. In the ruins of what was once Shanghai, Darius stood atop a collapsed tower with Tyvar and Lena. Smoke still rose from the last Velkar drone nest below. Human flags stitched from old shirts and painted by hand waved in the breeze. We've taken back half the planet, Lena said softly. But they'll strike harder now, Darius replied. They know they're bleeding, Relic spoke. From a wrist-mounted device, Velkar transmissions suggest a fleet of 12 warships heading to Earth. Arrival, 36 hours. Darius turned. Then we give them a welcome. Cross Earth, rebel teams prepared traps. Cities were turned into ambush zones. Skyscrapers filled with explosives. Drones hacked. guns polished. And at the center, Relic activated Earth's last hidden defense, Sci-Fi, an orbital weapon platform buried beneath the oceans. Forgotten for decades, when the Velkar fleet arrived, Earth looked quiet. Too quiet. Kale smiled. They've finally given up. But as the ships descended, everything changed. The ground exploded. Towers collapsed on warships. Drones swarmed, and from the clouds, a beam of light fell like the wrath of God's Sci-Fi activated, slicing through one Velkar ship like paper. Kale's fleet screamed for help. It never came. Earth was no longer their prison. It was their grave. Hours later, standing in the smoking remains of a battlefield, Darius watched Velkar bodies scattered across the ground. A young soldier beside him whispered, "We did it." "No," Darius said. "We started it." He looked at the stars. "They thought we were broken. But they don't understand what happens when you push humans too far." Behind him, the rebel flag rose higher. The sky over Earth was no longer. Silent wreckage of Velkar warships floated in low orbit like broken bones. The Earth, once surrounded by chains, was now guarded by stolen enemy drones and human-built defense satellites. It was no longer a prison planet. It was a fortress. Deep in the forests of former Canada, Captain Darius Hale stood before a group of new recruits. Some were teenagers. Some were old. Some were not human. Members of alien species once enslaved. By the Velkar, now free and ready to fight. "We didn't ask for this war," Darius said, "but we're going to finish it." The crowd stood in silence. Then a voice from the back, alien and deep, said, "We follow the humans now. You showed us the way." Across the galaxy, the Velkar Empire was crumbling. Their supply lines were in flames. Their drones were being hacked. Their fear was growing. In the Velkar capital on the planet Rovex, the High Emperor screamed inside his crystal throne room. "How can these savages destroy our fleets? We gave them scraps and chains. Now they turn it into fire?" A general stepped forward, trembling. "They have help now. Other species rise with them. The humans have become a symbol." The Emperor's eyes glowed. "Then we crush the symbol." He pressed a button. "Order, Operation Cinderfall. All resistant cities on Earth, burn them." No survivors. Back on Earth, Relic intercepted the order. Darius listened to the message. "Jaw tight. They're sending their Death Legion," Lena said quietly. "Those are not soldiers. They're monsters." Darius nodded. "Then we don't wait for them. We hit first." At dawn, the humans launched Operation Emberstorm, a full assault on Velkar's last major base in the solar system. Located beneath the ice of Europa, it was the Velkar's biggest prison, holding thousands of humans and other species in cold stasis, ready for shipment to far-off slave worlds using stolen ships and hybrid weapons. The human strike teams crashed through the frozen skies, explosions rocked the ice, fighters dropped in waves, shooting through robotic guards. Inside, they found cages, row after row of frozen prisoners. "We're getting you out," Darius said as he broke the locks. One of the prisoners, an old Velkar scientist, looked up with wide eyes. You're humans?" he said weakly. "I remember when we first took your planet. You were small, weak." Darius helped him to his feet. "We were, not anymore." That night, the Velkar launched their counterattack. Dozens of black ships entered Earth's orbit. They dropped firebombs on rebel zones. Lasers scorched forests. Cities already in ruins were reduced to ash dot, but Earth fought back. Every street became a battlefield. Every rooftop held a sniper. Every sewer tunnel hid a trap, and the biggest trap was Sci-Fi. The orbital weapon once again charged and ready. As the Velkar fleet closed in on rebel headquarters, Sci-Fi fired. A blinding white beam sliced through the lead ship, splitting it in half. The others scattered, but one after another. They were picked off by drones, missiles, or sheer rage. On the ground, Darius and his squad defended a mountain pass near the base. Rain poured. thunder roared. A Velkar soldier, massive and armored, cornered a rebel girl no older than 12. He raised his plasma blade before it could fall. A shot rang out. The Velkar dropped dead. Behind the girl stood a human soldier, helmet cracked, face bloody. It was her brother. He stared at the body. They took our parents. They're not taking you. When dawn came, Earth was still standing, barely, but standing inside a rebel command tent. Lena looked at a blinking map. Sir, she said to Darius, we now control over 70% of the planet. He leaned against the table, tired but alive. Then it's time we take the rest. Far away in a hidden Velkar War Council room, the generals spoke in whispers. They're not breaking, one said. They're growing stronger, said another. They're learning faster than we ever did. A new voice interrupted. It was General Vokta, the oldest Velkar warrior alive. He stood slowly. I was there the day we chained Earth. I saw their cities fall. I saw the anger in their eyes. We never understood them. Thought pain would break them. But it made them sharper. Now that anger is focused, and they will not stop. The room went silent. Then the general added one last line. If we don't end this war soon, we may live long enough to serve them. Back on Earth, a young boy in a destroyed village found a Velkar soldier hiding in fear. The alien begged, please, mercy. The boy looked into his eyes and quietly whispered the same word the Velkar used on his family. No. The signal went out at midnight. It was short. Just one voice, says Earth. We rose. So can you. The message repeated on every hacked Velkar channel in 100 languages, through 1,000 frequencies. In the dark corners of the galaxy, in mining colonies and slave ships, it echoed, and it sparked something. Hope on the swamp world of Gorak 7. A young alien miner named Resk looked up from his work. His metal collar buzzed with pain every time he slowed down. But when he heard the message, he paused. One of the other miners whispered, Did you hear that? The humans? ... They fought back. Another said they destroyed a Velkar fleet. Resk clenched his fists. They said we could rise. On Earth, inside a rebel command center hidden beneath the old ruins of Sydney, Darius Hale stood before a glowing star map. Velkar space stretched across the screen, massive, red, powerful. But now, blue lights blinked in random systems. Small, faint, but real. Rebellions leaned closer. We've started something bigger than us. Darius nodded. Could let them feel the fire they lit. Meanwhile, in the Velkar High Council chamber, fear was growing. Dozens of slave worlds had stopped shipments. Velkar patrols were ambushed by unknown attackers, not just humans. Tunnels on Varnok exploded. A prison camp on Zenthis Prime went silent. Velkar generals yelled over each other. One slammed his fist on the table. This is spreading. If we don't stop Earth, we lose everything. The High Emperor raised his hand. Silence fell. Then we end Earth. Now. 2 days later, 12 massive warships left Velkar Prime. They carried the Oblivion Core, a weapon never used before. One strike would turn a planet into dust. They called it the God Hammer, their target. Earth, back in Rebel HQ, Relic intercepted. The fleet's code. They planned to erase the planet, the AI said calmly. Darius stared at the map. How long? 5 days. Maybe less. Lena stepped forward. We can't stop 12 ships. Not alone. Darius looked at the blinking blue lights, the small rebel cells across the stars. Then we won't be alone.
Activated?
The signal again. Stronger. Louder, says Earth. The Velkar are coming to destroy us. If you ever wanted to fight, now's the time. Across the galaxy, the fires lit up. On Gorak 7, Resk led a group of miners who stole a transport ship. They didn't know how to fly it, but they flew it anyway, straight toward Earth. On Varnok 2, a group of insect-like warriors hijacked a fuel depot and sent it crashing into a Velkar command center. On Zenthis Prime, slaves turned guards, and guards were chained for the first time. Back on Earth, the rebels prepared for their final stand. They had built new weapons, hybrids of Velkar and human tech. Ships patched together with steel and scrap, cannons powered by Earth's core heat, children made bullets. Old soldiers trained teens in hand-to-hand combat. Sci-Fi was recharged and ready, and above it all, in low orbit, Earth's first true starship, the Phoenix, floated built from 3 crashed Velkar ships in Earth's last space carrier. It was massive, ugly, and deadly. Inside it, Darius stood on the bridge. "This is our wall," he said. "If they break through us, Earth dies." He looked around at humans, aliens, even robots now fighting under one flag. "We hold the line." The Velkar fleet arrived like a wave of shadow, 12 ships, each the size of a city. One of the generals laughed. "This will be fast." He was wrong. The first Velkar ship was hit by 3 asteroid mines, sent from the belt by rebel miners. The second ship was hacked mid-flight by Relic and crashed into Saturn's rings. The third is destroyed by the Phoenix with a full plasma barrage. Still, 9 remained. Fighting spread across space like wildfire. Resk and his crew arrived late in a burning transport and slammed into one of the Velkar ships. They didn't have weapons, but their courage cracked a hull and exposed the core. It exploded. 7 ships left, but Earth was bleeding. Spifer was hit. Velkar troops landed in Africa and South America. Children hid in caves. Soldiers fought in the rubble, but they did not stop. Inside the final Velkar flagship, the Emperor watched as ships were falling not just from Earth's attacks, but from rebellion across the stars. "This isn't war," he whispered. "It's infection." Outer to retreat. Back on Earth, smoke filled the sky. Bodies lay everywhere, human and alien. But in the middle of it all, the rebel flag still stood. Darius knelt beside a fallen soldier, a young alien boy named Kier, who had only just joined the fight. He whispered, "We held the line." Later, that night, Earth sent a message to the galaxy. "You are no longer alone. The fire has spread. The chains are breaking. Join us." The Velkar Empire was no longer whole. Across the stars, planets once ruled by fear now flew rebel flags. Colonies had turned into battlegrounds. Velkar ships were hijacked, supply lines destroyed, commanders hunted in their own palaces, and Earth had become legend. On the outer rim world of Norok 4, Velkar soldiers refused to leave their base. The jungle outside was filled with whispers. Rebel fighters watched from the trees, waiting. One of the Velkar guards muttered, "They're not human." "No," another whispered. "They're worse. They're human with purpose." Back on Earth in a rebuilt bunker under old London, Captain Darius Hale stood at the center of a growing war council. Around him were humans, alien leaders, freed soldiers, even old Velkar prisoners who had turned against the Empire. Darius looked at the holographic map. Their home sector is weak now. Half their fleets are gone. Their colonies are rising. "Time." Lena stepped forward. "Time for what?" Darius pointed at the heart of the map, the Velkar homeworld. Time to take the fight to them. It wasn't just about revenge anymore. The rebels had found something. A plan buried in Velkar. Files. A final weapon. One that could destroy whole solar systems, it was called. Project Black Sun. And it was hidden on the Velkar capital world. Velkar. If they activated it, everything would end. Not just Earth, but every free world. Relic confirmed the data. Black Sun energy core is unstable. Estimated detonation power, planetary level X-12. The rebels moved fast. For the first time in history, united fleet of human and alien warships left Earth's orbit, heading straight for Velkar space. Ships of all shapes and sizes joined. Some built from scrap, some stolen, some newly made. The lead ship? The Phoenix. On its bridge. Darius stood tall. "We are not just defending Earth now," he said. "We're freeing the galaxy." Inside the Velkar High Council chamber, panic. "Ruled," generals yelled. Screens showed rebellion across 60% of the Empire. A scientist whispered, "If they reach Velkaria, they could disable Black Sun." all would be lost. The High Emperor said nothing. He looked out the window at the burning sky above his capital. They were nothing, he said slowly. Now they are fire. As the rebel fleet approached the Velkar border, they met resistance. 3 enemy fleets blocked the path. It became the largest space battle in known history. The sky turned red with explosions. The Phoenix took heavy fire, but never slowed. A rebel pilot from Gorak 7 flew his tiny craft straight into a Velkar dreadnought's reactor. He died, but the ship exploded in a wave of flame. A human-engineered drone swarm jammed Velkar comes. Lena, deep inside the Phoenix, hacked their targeting systems. Relic spoke calmly. Velkar Fleet Number 7 destroyed. To remain. On Velkar Colony World Sabak, a high-ranking general stood at a military base. His soldiers were nervous, afraid. Suddenly, the general dropped his rifle. He raised his hands. We surrender. The humans were right. We were wrong. Shock swept through. His troops, one by one, they followed him. Back at the front, the final Velkar fleet was surrounded. Then they did something no one expected.
They
retreated, not out of strategy, out of fear. The path to Velkaria was open. Darius and the rebel commanders met one last time before landing. Lena looked tired but determined. This is it, she said. Either we stop Black Sun, everything. Burns. Darius nodded. We finish this. They landed at night. Velkaria was a cold, dark world, beautiful but hollow. Its cities were silent, skies filled with smoke. The Black Sun facility sat in the center of the capital, a massive tower surrounded by deadly defenses. Fighting broke out in every street. Rebel soldiers climbed walls. Drones swarmed towers. Humans and aliens fought side by side, and inside the Black Sun Tower. The Emperor waited. He activated the core. Back at command, Relic gave the alert. Black Sun countdown. 6 hours. Inside the tower, Darius led the final strike team. A mix of rebel elites, ex-slaves, engineers. They broke through every line. Lena reached the control room. It's overheating, she said. If we disable it the wrong way, it explodes. Darius didn't flinch. Then we disable it the right way. Relic helped her hack the system. As guards charged in, the rebels held the door. Bullets, plasma, blades. They fought with everything. Finally, silence. Relic spoke. Black Sun disabled. Shutdown confirmed. The light in the tower dimmed. The core powered down outside. The battle ended. Velkar soldiers dropped their weapons. The war was over. On the roof of the tower, the High Emperor knelt before Darius. His robe was torn, his pride gone. We surrender, he whispered. Please, show mercy. Darius looked down at him. The same man who had ordered Earth to burn. The same man who enslaved billions. He raised his weapon, then lowered it. No, he said. Mercy is for those who know pain. You only knew power. Darius turned away. You don't get mercy. You get justice. The rebels raised their flags. Across Velka and across the stars, one message spread. The Empire has fallen. Velkaria burned under a red sky. Smoke rose from broken towers. The great Velkar banners, symbols of power and fear, lay in ashes on the streets. Across the city, the sound of weapons had stopped. But the silence wasn't peace. It was judgment. Captain Darius Hale stood atop the shattered wall of the Black Sun facility, watching as the rebel army moved through the city. Humans, aliens, and even former Velkar citizens stood side by side. Some cheered, some wept, but Darius said nothing. Behind him, Lena stepped closer. Her face was bruised, one arm in a sling. We did it, she said softly. We broke the Empire. Darius didn't look at her. Not yet. The Empire was built on blood. Now we show them the cost. In the heart of the city, the last Velkar loyalists were rounded up. Generals, war scientists, slave masters. They were taken to the Great Hall, where the Empire once ruled. Now, it was a courtroom. Thousands gathered outside. Inside, Darius stood at the center, facing the High Emperor, who sat chained in the same throne he once ruled from. The Emperor raised, his head still proud. "You think this makes you better?" he said. "You act like us now. You conquered. You invaded. You burned." Darius walked forward. "We warned you. We asked for peace. He gave us chains. He called us animals. The truth is, we were patient. He leaned in, and now we beg." Across the galaxy, the trial was broadcast live. People who had once lived in fear now watched with wide eyes. On Gorik 7, miners stopped working and gathered around a small screen. On Vernoctu, children watched their former masters face judgment. On Earth, families stood in silence, some holding photos of those they had lost. The Emperor's voice echoed through the hall. "If you kill me, you are no better than I was." Darius stared. "We don't kill," he said. "But we don't forget either." He turned to the council of rebel leaders. "He will live, but he will walk." Hours later, the galaxy saw something no one ever thought possible. The High Emperor of the Velkar Dominion, once feared by billions, was marched through the streets of Velkaria. No guards, no throne, just chains. Citizens threw dust at him. The slaves he once owned now stood taller than him. He kept his head down. The same streets he once ruled now rejected him. A young alien girl shouted from the crowd, "Now you know how it feels." The crowd roared back in the rebel base. Lena and Relic were scanning through old Velkar data cores. Hidden in the files, they found something that made her stop cold. "Darius," she said, "you need to see this." On the screen were star charts, not Velkar territory, something else. "Who are they?" Darius asked. Relic responded, "Unknown. Race. Designation. The Watchers. They observed the war from outside our galaxy, and now they are moving closer." Lena looked worried. "They've been watching us this whole time. Why?" Darius asked. Relic paused. "They're not interested in who wins. They're interested in who survives." Later that night, Darius stood alone on the balcony of the rebel headquarters. The stars stretched wide and endless. Velkaria was quiet. Lena stepped beside him. "Do you think it's over?" Darius shook his head. "No, empires fall. But wars never really end." He looked up. "We showed the galaxy what humans are made of. Now someone else out there is watching, planning." Lena crossed her arms, then let them come. The next day, the rebel flag, now a symbol of freedom not just for Earth, but for 1,000 worlds, was raised over the capital of Velkaria. Children danced in the streets. Fires were put out. Names of the fallen were carved into the walls of the Black Sun Tower, human and alien alike. And, above them all, the Phoenix hovered in orbit, Earth's first true starship. Now the heart of a new galactic order. In a quiet moment, a human child stood beside a former Velkar guard. The boy held a small broken toy. The Velkar looked down, unsure what to. "Say I used to be afraid of you," the boy said. "I used to think I was better," the guard replied. The boy nodded. "Now we both know." Far away, beyond the edge of known space, a massive shape moved in the darkness. A strange craft, silent, smooth, not of Velkar design. Inside, figures watched a screen showing Earth. And the final battle, one whispered. They were chained. They broke free. "Interesting," another replied. "Let us see what else they can break." Back on Velkaria, Darius stood before the council. "The war is over," he said. "But peace will not be easy. It will take strength, patience, and memory." He looked at the former slaves, the freed soldiers, the rebels who had nothing but hope. "We will build something better. Because we remember what it was like to be broken. We will never go back." The Velkar Empire was no more. Its towers had fallen, its war fleets destroyed, its slaves freed. Across the galaxy, once feared rulers now lived as prisoners, or fugitives, and Earth, once seen as weak and wild, now sat at the center of a rising new order, but power always brings choices, and not all of them are easy. Inside a quiet chamber on Valkyria. Now the rebel capital, the Galactic Union Council, gathered for the first time, leaders of freed planets, generals from human colonies, alien scientists, former rebels, even a few Velkar civilians who had turned against the old regime. And at the center of it all stood Captain Darius Hale. He no longer wore body armor, just a simple gray uniform, the symbol of Earth on one shoulder, a scar across his face. Eyes that had seen too much. Relic's voice echoed from a console. Representatives from 43 worlds request alliance under human leadership. 6 more plead for aid. 2. Request forgiveness. Lena glanced at the screen. The galaxy now turns to Earth. They want you to lead, Darius. He looked away. We didn't fight to become kings, he said. We fought to be free. Oh, but not everyone agreed. Some rebel commanders believed. It was time for humans to rule. They bowed before us when we had nothing, one said. Now they beg. Let them serve. Others feared revenge would only start a new cycle of war. We should not become what we destroyed, Lena said. Darius listened, but deep down he knew the truth. The choice would define humanity forever. That evening, a ship arrived from deep space. Not a rebel vessel, a Velkar shuttle. Small, damaged, unarmed. From it stepped a group of Velkar civilians, dressed in rags, no weapons, no titles. Just hunger and shame. One of them fell to his knees before Darius. Please, the old Velkar whispered. Our people are starving. Our homes are gone. We need your help. The guards raised their rifles, but Darius raised his hand. Let them. Speak. The old Velkar trembled. We were wrong, he said. Thought strength meant control, but you showed us strength means survival, means standing when you're broken. We mocked you, chained you, burned your cities. He lowered his head, but now, we beg. For a long time, Darius said nothing. Then he turned to the council. Thousands of years ago, Earth was divided. We fought each other. We made the same mistakes. We learned. He stepped forward. Mercy is not weakness. It's the memory of pain. He looked down at the Velkar. We will help, not because you deserve it, but because we remember what it felt like to ask and be ignored. And so, Earth sent food to Velkar cities, medicine, engineers, builders, not soldiers. The galaxy watched in shock. The monsters they feared showed mercy, and that fear slowly turned to respect. Weeks passed. A new alliance was formed, not of empires, but of survivors. The coalition of the broken chains. Its flag had no crown. Just a symbol, a broken shackle. And a rising star. Darius was offered leadership. He declined. I've fought enough, he said. Let the galaxy choose its path. I'll help build it, not rule it. Lena became the new director of science and diplomacy. Relic became the first AI to serve openly in galactic law. Former slaves became senators. Refugees became teachers, and the Velkar, they rebuilt, slowly, quietly, never forgetting who gave them a second chance. Years later, a new human ship, sleek and beautiful, launched from Earth's orbit. It carried no weapons, only explorers, diplomats, and translators. Its name, Hopebound, as it left the solar system, children across Earth cheered, not because war had made them strong, but because peace had made them brave, and far beyond the edge of known space. Deep in the void, strange eyes still watched. The Watchers, a silent race from another galaxy, recorded humanity's rise with cold interest. They could have ruled through fear, one said, but they chose something harder. Another replied, honor. They survived. They evolved. They forgave. A third voice whispered, they are ready. Back on Earth, in a quiet field where the first resistance base once stood. A statue of Darius Hale now overlooked the valley. Not of him, holding a weapon, but holding a child's hand. Below it, carved in stone, were just 5 words. You tried to chain us. We chose to rise.